Hello, Pisces, and welcome to your April 2025 forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. We have Apollo behind us taking a nap, looking adorable in the process as well. I just want to start off today by saying thank you so much, especially Pisces, for waiting. I know this has been a longer wait than usual. Earlier this year, obviously, I was displaced by the wildfires, and then I got sick when I was traveling. All of that cost me about 2 to 3 weeks. It all caught up with me this month. So we're finally caught up. And starting with the very next month with the May readings, I'm going to reorganize these so that I can do them a little faster. This, however, is the same format as always because I wanted to make sure that every sign got the same length this month to avoid any drama. So anyway, thanks for your understanding. Let's get into this. So for channeled messages today, as I was meditating, I kept seeing a spider weaving or sort of creating a web. To me, spiders are actually very auspicious because they manifest their own synchronicities and destiny and opportunities. And what I also love is they represent tenacity. Like every day, they'll go up there and clean the web and create it again if they need to. They represent patience because once they've set that sort of web there, they just know that something's going to come through and they know how to seize the moment. So I think all of these skills are coming through this month, Pisces, to help you align to some sort of a goal or synchronicity. Now, it also reminds me, it's kind of like you reap what you sow. You can make this day, you can make this month whatever you want it to, whatever you want it to be. So there's an encouragement here to continue to work hard, to persevere, and to try to see what's possible. Spiders live in the realm of possibilities. They know something's coming. And because they know it and because they use their sort of like their spider sense to set that into motion, it happens. So believe in yourself, show up, and let's take a look at the spread here. Typically, spiders represent Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Pentacles, High Priestess energy. So let's see if any of those cards happen to show up. And of course, we'll see whatever else the universe wants to bring forth. Let's get started. Oh my gosh, I just had to show Apollo one more time before we meditate and shuffle the cards. He is adorable. All right, now let's get into the cards. All right, close your eyes, please. Let go of any thoughts that might be already in your mind. And just imagine that I'm actually getting water. It makes sense. We're in Pisces here. So imagine that you are floating in the ocean. The sun is overhead, and you feel this connection both to the water and also to the sun above. Let's call in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. All right, let's get started here with your catalyst card. We have relationships are assignments. In my mind, I saw like a set of ellipses and I'm like, but they don't have to be. And so we'll talk about it. This card is reversed. So for many of you, you're already seeing what someone might be bringing to the table as far as a lesson that they're trying to teach you. And I think that when you pull in a teacher rather than a partner, it's typically because there might be a crack in your own foundation that you're trying to fix. So there's already a couple cards, and we'll talk about that in a moment, The main takeaway, though, is focus on personal development, self-care, and addressing any areas where you feel vulnerable, weak, frustrated, etc. Once that's dealt with, then you don't have to pull in someone that is going to teach you, because that's what basically a teacher would give you as an assignment. You can pull in a partner, someone that could sit under the Four of Wands with you, rather than more of like an Emperor or Empress energy that might be trying to tug, at your sort of power and just basically focusing on making you be the best. It's like paternal, maternal energy. So when you do that for yourself, then you just call in the Lover's card or the Four of Wands or the Two of Cups. So I'm going to help you get the assignment done at the beginning so that friends, coworkers, and lovers that come into your life are on the level and you don't have to go through class with them. All right, let's look at the cards. I can already see two at the center. Self-care in the form of the Ten of Swords reversed, accountability, Seven of Swords, and then we have a card here that shows that sometimes we don't value ourselves or we let people come in that undervalue us, and we're not going to do that this month. Those three things alone can help you basically just blossom in a relationship and not have to have that sort of parent-teacher or mentorship energy. Instead, it can just be a friend, a partner, comrade. All right, let's go card by card. The first two I actually think are the most challenging, and I like that as a reader because it gives you what you need immediately. So we have Ten of Swords in reverse. Look at what she's doing. She's actually reaching for the broom, which is reclamation of power. She wants to clear or clean something out, and it's a little bit of a stretch. It takes a moment. And one thing that she's discovered in this very unique illustration is to rely on herself. We see someone else here who is kind of fleeing the scene. You almost never see the person that initiated the 10 swords. A lot of times it can be our own energy, but we do see it takes two to tango. So for those of you that have gotten into a relationship and it's dissolved, maybe acrimoniously, not so nicely, just know it's 50-50. And that actually helps a little bit because you can work on the things that you can control in future relationships. You can see their part and you can let it go, because when we hold on to the pain, we can't get through the healing. Thankfully, you've got the Ten of Swords in reverse. The skin is already starting to, heal. The scabs are already starting to fade, or the scars are starting to fade. And it's just a matter of saying, that was a painful lesson, but I learned. I don't want to repeat it. I don't need to repeat it. You may need or want to talk with someone like a therapist if it was something like that, okay? So for those of you that got through a difficult separation, divorce, or had a situation where someone mistreated you, know that you do not need to repeat that. And lesson learned. And it's going to be better in the future. You're stronger. We actually have the Strength card in the outcome. It's reversed, but the energy of recovery and empowerment is there. One of the big things, Pisces, this month is just, it's almost like you're your own best hype person. In the background, you're saying, I know I can do this. I've got this. It's going to be all right. The best is yet to come. All right, some other aspects of the Ten of Swords reversed. Don't take the bait. So someone, as we can see here in the sidelines, might be trying to pull you into an argument, pull you into their own drama. This can also be you overworking yourself to the point of sickness, exhaustion, fatigue. It can be an argument that does not need to happen. So basically, see the signs and don't take the bait. Choose another path, go in another direction, okay? We actually have a raven or a crow right above trying to offer some advice. You may have a good friend in your life that can offer counsel. It may not be the news that you want to hear or the advice that you want to hear, but that tough love could actually help. Go to the person that's always honest. I have a couple in my life, couple people that always tell me the truth. And sometimes, even when I don't want to hear it, I know I can pick up the phone and say, what do you think? So see if you have someone in your life that can help you with that. Otherwise, it's just about being honest with yourself. So crossing this, we have Seven of Swords energy. The way to transmute this is by telling the truth, keeping your promises, being transparent, clear, and open, because it's the antithesis of this. If there's someone in your life that consistently disappoints, consistently overpromises, and just can't quite show up in the way that you need it, I feel like this is the month where it's the final straw, because these two cards together represent that. You don't need to go all the way to this one, the Ten of Swords. Just call it out. Say, this isn't what we talked about, or I don't want to see this happen again. You can also check in if it's someone else and say, why did this happen? Was I not clear? You can always give them room to show their point of view, but the combination of these two is basically illustrating in no uncertain terms that if it's an environment that you work in, if it's a relationship that you're engaged in, if it's an activity that you have, and you're feeling 10 of Swords, 7 of Swords energy, let it go. Move on. Because this can actually represent, by the way, cutting losses. Very rarely read as that, but sometimes you take what you can from a situation and say, it's like the Tina Turner song, we don't have to fight anymore. She just wants to move on. So maybe that's where you're at too, okay? If you want to get away with something, this card is saying it's not worth it either. So sometimes there's the two little angels, right? Or the angel and the devil. And it's one is trying to make us do the right thing. One is saying, don't worry about it. No one's going to notice. They will notice because this is front and center. So what would be best this month is if there's something that needs to come to the surface, be the one that initiates it before it comes out in another way, and lead with love and don't argue. These are the things that kind of come through with that, okay? So that's the tough love portion of this reading. The rest of the cards are pretty good. I will always read what I see, and when we start with those two, this is going to help you not have to get into this sort of teacher sort of energy when we're looking at relationships, because I don't think all relationships have to be assignments. I think that sometimes it can just be your champion. It can just be someone there that offers love and support. Sometimes they're difficult, but they don't always have to be. And when we do the work on ourselves, then we can often avoid what we see here. Okay, here's the good news. As I look into the deep past here, we have 9 of Pentacles energy. This represents the ability to work on your own, to actually get a lot done. Maybe you've been kind of in this hermit phase, focusing on personal development, maybe trying to grow your finances, your self-worth. All of that work is here. And it's a reminder not to rush to the finish line. This card invariably says slow and steady wins the race. We don't have the snail here, but traditionally there's a little snail in the corner. And it's saying, inch by inch, step by step, slowly you're going to get to the finish line. It's often better to do it right the first time and take your time than to rush and then have to go and backtrack. So there may be some frustration, but I feel like many of you are working at the pace that you need to, okay? Also, when we're looking at deep past and the value that you bring, this is almost about as rich as you can get when it comes to what you're offering. 10 of Pentacles is the only one that is on top of this one in this suit. So you're worth it. That's maybe something that you need to hear, especially if there was someone in your life that didn't tell you that. Because this is someone who only throws negative comments your way. This is also someone who may use like gaslighting or just make you doubt yourself because these two energies come through. So you can do this. You are worth this, and things are trending in a better direction. Recent past is very heartening. We have 2 cards coming through. The first of the 2 is the 10 of Cups. You also have the 10 of Wands underneath it. The 10 of Cups is in reverse. Some of you are pulling back a little bit from an old group of either friends or family members or acquaintances because perhaps they just had too many expectations, too much pressure. They were trying to project their vision or their version of the world onto you, and you are going in a different direction. The 10 of Wands also reminds you that it may be difficult, whatever you're doing, but it's worth it. And you will find like a chosen family. It's not always the people that you started out with that really matter in the end. It's the friends, the family members, the people in your life that you choose that become the most powerful because you chose them. And then it's like a decision where the investment is 2 ways. Both of you are interested in like developing and moving forward. There could be a new relationship in your life that is long distance, so you have time or space separating you, or both, obviously. There could also be someone that you want to go the distance for. We see relationships adding some stress or adding some Yeah, it's basically a little bit of stress and attention to your life right now, taking your attention, I should say. So pace yourself. Don't take on more than you feel that you need to. And by the way, there just may be pressure from family to basically vicariously fulfill their dreams and their goals. And you have many lives that you may live, but you only do this one once, and you have to do it in a way that honors your needs, your desires, and makes you happy. This is something I talked to Aquarius about. You have to feel that sense of fulfillment, accomplishment, and satisfaction. Let's now move on to the crowning position. We have the King of Wands coming through. King of Wands represents the ability to have a new idea, to spark innovation. It's, of course, one of the best boss cards as well. Suffice it to say, whatever you set your intention and your attention to this month, you're going to see some results. And no matter what has happened previous to now, especially because we have that 10 of Swords and 7 of Swords energy, this card is showing your value and your worth, just like the deep past was. What you're being encouraged to do this month is to step out of the sort of the background and really, if there's an opportunity, raise your hand. Or if somebody taps on your shoulder and says, hey, can you do this? Just say yes. Don't doubt your ability. The King of Wands here is also thinking about what's next? What do I want to do? He's tapping into his heart. He's getting inspired. And you may not have that spark of inspiration today, but one of the ways you can do that is by reading, listening to, people speak, a great sort of podcast, or going to a class, or just going out into the world and surrounding yourself in environments and activities that kind of like take the heart and open it up, allow the brain to wander. And this is where some of the innovation can come as well. But one thing that this card is also reminding you is that sometimes we see this sort of executive desk. Sometimes you just have to take the reins and say, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. And it is the antithesis of this card. This is passing the buck to someone else. And in this one, it's saying, you know what? It's me. I'll do it. So you may be leading by example because there may be a lack of that, in your own family or your own life or in your environment, but you're going to show it nonetheless. Moving on to the next card here in the near future, we have the Three of Wands. I've looked at this deck several times. I've never noticed that little gecko on the ground, but we have the Three of Wands, and this is a very active one because typically there's a person on the cliff passively waiting for the ships to come to them. This particular deck that I'm using, it's all witches and wizards in it, so magic is a piece of it. This person is working their own magic and manifesting. I actually think these two cards work wonderfully together. One of the best ways to get over a setback, and the 10 of Swords at the center could be a setback, is just to prove to yourself and to others, I've still got this. I can do this. I don't believe in revenge, but I do believe in success, and I believe in working on yourself and showing people, I'm still standing. I've still got this. And if you want to bounce back this month, these two cards are showing the capacity to do so. There is a travel component with Three of Wands. So you may need to meet someone halfway. You may need to travel to a different city or country in order to make something happen. This is just validation on that. This is one of the time marker cards in the minor arcana. So when you're asking me, Nicholas, when is this happening? Now. If you're seeking an opportunity, if you're wondering, when should I make the move? Now. But look in all directions. This is only as accurate as its ability to see the synchronicity. So if you're only looking in this direction, but something's coming here or something's coming here, you miss it. So this King of Wands is upright, but he needs to stay open-minded. I like that he's looking at the entire globe. He's taking counsel here. And so this is important for you to listen, look, and imagine all of the possibilities. All right, now let's focus on you. We have the Five of Wands coming through. This month, one of the biggest challenges could be in just sort of like motivation, because sometimes the Five of Wands reminds me of kind of like a hamster wheel or a treadmill, where you put a lot of effort in, but it kind of feels like you're in the same position. So the card that's right up from this one is success. The card right before it is partnership. And so one way that you can get into that energy of success again is to remember the previous lesson. And so what we see a lack of here is teamwork, collaboration, cooperation, communication. And so this is a time to really look at one another in all of your relationships and think, how can we help each other? So if there is an assignment this month, it's tuning in. Because we may already have some relationships where it's like, well, what's the lesson? That's what I'm seeing here in that immediate lesson is, how can we work better together? How can we minimize the competition, the conflict, and how can we elevate that? And then for yourself, how can you get inspired to whatever it is that's in front of you to basically, move into that without feeling like you're just going through the motions? One of the best things that you can do sometimes is take a break. Not all of us can afford to do that, but if you can, take a day, take an hour, take 5 minutes, some sort of a recalibrating moment to think, okay, I've got this. Here's how I can make this work. And what's next? So I think one thing to do also, and I talked quite a bit into the previous sign about this, but for you, it's just to unplug from the distraction and sit for a minute and think, how do I feel? Do I want to go back into that? And then think, if there's something that you do want, if there's a lack, if there's a desire, let's see how we're going to put the energy in that direction. But I think there's too much going on. Again, the treadmill keeps running, the hamster wheel keeps spinning, but you have to slow down for a second and think, if I'm not making progress, what can I do to make sure that I am? What's distracting me? How can I focus? We have a really powerful and important card here in the environment. This is basically sometimes what I like to call the devil that you know, or a scarcity mentality. It's a little bit of both. Let's look at the traditional card for a second. And what we can see is someone holding on to what they've got, and they're thinking, it's not enough, but at least it's here. It's not enough, but at least I know how to deal with it. It's predictable. It's convenient. But there's more. There's more opportunity. So if there's something in your life where you're only holding on because it's there or because you know how to deal with it, even though you're dissatisfied, this is where I think some of the spinning of the wheels might be coming from. As we look at this reimagined version, he's actually sitting on a treasure chest, and there's so much more potential. But he could also be holding back. We see that literally in this card. Not letting people see everything that you have to show. All of the insights that we saw in the King of Wands. All of the hard work that came through in the deep past. So let yourself be seen. Be more transparent. Be more outspoken. And don't hold on to a person, place, or thing after it's sort of like served its purpose. And that's one of the lessons this month too, is there may be someone who can't give you what you want. I call this the devil that you know. Any of the devil related cards, whether it's 5 of Swords, 7 of Swords, the Moon, or even this, basically don't supply what you're worth. It's a one-way relationship. So identify those kinds of engagements in your life and say, enough now. I love that in Hopes, Fears, and Opportunities, we have 3 of Pentacles, taking a step back and seeing the lesson. This is a card related to learning, writing, presenting, and teamwork. So in this moment, like I said, if you're feeling like you're just going through the motions, find a group of people that have a similar way of thinking and working and a similar passion. Together you can make something amazing. If you want to get training or some sort of an experience, an internship, the 3 of Pentacles is about higher learning. For those of you that are writers or artists, as we can see here, it's also about putting that pen to paper, the paintbrush to the canvas, and making something beautiful. And together you are stronger. Together you can also pull together all of your skills and create something amazing. One other thing that this is about is paying attention to the fine details. In the traditional card, we see someone kind of hammering away at something, making sure that it's like when you paint a room, you do the trim last. So those little finishing details matter. And even this person could have a little bit more quality control there. So make sure you're looking at the fine details, because then when someone does take a look at your work, there may be no need for improvement. Like you may be one and done, and that could be exciting. In the outcome, we have a really nice sort of like journey here. So we started off with maybe exhaustion. Now we have healing and strength in the outcome. Strength is reversed. So one of the most valuable things you can do this month is to allow yourself to rest and recalibrate. Another thing that the reversal of this card represents is reclamation of power. There may be someone in your life that tends to come in and micromanage, or they make you doubt yourself. And so this month, you'll put your foot down, put a line in the sand and say, no, this isn't working anymore. Particularly if they're trying to get away with continuing to do that. Again, I think it could just be someone that might have criticism, but they don't really know how to fix it. And you're just going to say, well, if you don't have a better approach, this is how we're going to move forward. Or I didn't ask for your feedback. Because oftentimes, especially if it's a friend or family member, everyone's an armchair psychologist and thinks that they can do a better job than you. You're the one driving the ship. You're the one that might have to articulate things this month and make it work. So the Strength card is one of the most powerful divine feminine cards that you can pull in the major arcana, but there are diminishing returns. And what I mean by that is that whatever this challenge is, first and foremost, you've got it. But I'm going to pull the traditional card while we're talking, but to have to constantly get someone to agree with you, and sometimes through a lot of output of effort, it may not be worth it in the long run. So I'd like you to evaluate how much time and how much effort it takes to do something this month. And if you think to yourself, that was tiring and I don't feel like this is worth it, then you don't have to repeat. So she's putting her hands in the mouth of the lion. She's able to accomplish what's necessary. But imagine that every day you had to do that. That would get tiring. And that's why I think some of you are just ready for a break. I'm sure we've all had a friend or worked with someone that is high maintenance, requires a lot. You don't have to do all of that for them. You can save some for you. And if there is a person in your life that micromanages, like a boss or a parent, tell them, I need space to do this. I've got the capacity to do it, but if you keep asking every 10 minutes, I'm not going to be able to finish. Give me space. And often when you establish a boundary, some people may be surprised at first, but then they're going to respect you. They'll think, oh, okay. Sometimes people are looking for that. And if they're not, so be it. This is a time where you really have to look out for your own happiness and well-being. Let's go ahead and expand this a little bit deeper. We'll go into health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with the energy of health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. I love what I see here. So we have the Holy Grail, but this is also basically a chalice or a cup, an Ace of Cups in the upright position. And this is what the Ace of Cups looks like, basically overflowing. So the bottom reads, inner discovery, finding sacredness, you are what you seek. You are the one. And that helps you avoid this, seeking completion, understanding, or validation in someone else. Find it within first. Then you won't have to be taught by the person. They'll just be a partner. You may be deciding to go a little bit deeper into spirituality. This also reminds me of connection to source, which would be creativity. There is this sense of inner healing that happens. So this can just be a figurative card, by the way. We'll talk about what it might represent in the body, but sometimes the Ten of Swords is just this feeling of, I didn't do what I wanted, I failed. And this card is saying, no, I didn't fail, I learned. And I love myself and I forgive myself and I can't wait for the next chapter to be even better. So love and accept yourself. It's the most important relationship you have, and upon that, everything else is going to be built. Now, specifically reading these cards through the lens of health. There might be chronic pain or fatigue. Oftentimes, this would be in the spine or the back. Work with a health professional, obviously, on this. Can also be a call to get chiropractic adjustment, acupuncture, or a massage. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your doctors. If you make a commitment, keep the commitment. If something's going on and it doesn't feel right, you have to tell the healthcare professional. You can't kind of hide that. So it's just honesty and transparency. Peer pressure and familial pressure are very much apparent in these cards here. So having boundaries and pushing back as needed is advantageous. You may be holding on to stress not only in the back, but also with the Four of Pentacles. It can be in kind of like this, like you're scrunched up. If we look at the traditional one, actually, you'll see why I'm saying it. He's hunched over. So it can actually be like the neck, the shoulders, might even be difficult breathing. So you want to open up the heart chakra, practice things like yoga and meditation where the lungs are activated, where you can kind of sweep the energy out a little bit. Because I'm looking at energy. Standard disclaimer applies. I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to be looking at where stuck energy may be. And I have it around the heart and the lungs. So we want to open up that space when the Four of Pentacles comes through. And otherwise, everything else here is fairly manageable. It's just being honest, not overworking, paying attention to any of the pain or aches and pains that might be going on, and pushing back on the familial pressure. Okay? This can just be fatigue. It could be because of anything else that we've talked about. But if these things are absent, obviously, again, you want to talk to a doctor because that can be your adrenal glands, your hormones, your diet. It can even be, depression. So many things can lead to this feeling of not having vitality. So focus on this so that all of the other positive stuff this month can grow. And now let's move on to the energy of wealth. Buddha came through in this particular space, and it says, heightened awareness, make peace with your thoughts and with the world. So everything I just talked about there, particularly working with a counselor or a doctor, working on loving and accepting yourself, all of these things are going to be paramount to your success elsewhere, particularly when it comes to your resources, your career, and your life purpose. Let's break this down into 5 subcategories. We'll start off first with those of you that are currently employed. Then we're going to look at those that have their own business, followed by job seekers. Then we'll look at students and then retirees. All right, we're going to begin with, like I said, those that already have a job. We have the Queen of Swords in reverse. So in the upright position, she is a powerful communicator. She knows when to take action. When it's reversed, she may be caught off guard. She may speak at a time that is either inconvenient, inappropriate, or she may use language that comes across in a way that is misunderstood. So this month, you want to pause before speaking, pause before taking a leap of faith. Really make sure that you've taken a look at everything like we talked about with the Three of Wands. You've listened like we've seen with the King of Wands. Then you can ask, I have some insights. Would you like to hear? This sort of thing prepares people if you're going to be giving ideas. You can also say, if there's feedback, you want to come with a constructive element to it. So say, before I give my feedback, help me understand how you got here. Listen, analyze. Then you can say, I like this, but I have some ideas about this. And then you can present your ideas. So much stronger than coming in and saying, I don't like it, do this. So you're going to work a little bit harder than usual, a little bit more at bridging the sort of gap between you and the other person, trying to empathize and understand them, and checking in with the times, like the time and space. Is this the right time? Is this the right space to have the conversation? There could also just be something that you're dragging your feet on, and this is a card of action and communication. So walk the walk and talk the talk, okay? Especially since we have this energy up here of leadership and being a visionary, you have to make sure that you are accountable as well. The big challenges this month actually do have to do with these 2 center cards. You may be in a situation where you're feeling burned out. There may be people around you that make promises but don't keep them. Make sure that you're not one of them. So it's better to say, I need more time, than to promise something when you kind of know already that it's not possible. Don't overextend yourself. Fight for more. Fight for more when it comes to compensation, maybe even like support. You can do more with assistance here. And if you can't get it all, if you can't get the support that you need, just say, well, we're going to have to change how much is expected of me then. If I can't get paid for the overtime, if I can't get an extra set of hands to help with this, this is all I can humanly do for today. What on my list can I put off till tomorrow? That's a great can-do attitude. I can do this today, but I can't do this. So something has to give. You can always put it back to the boss or the manager to make the call, but let them know what is possible. And sometimes that's all they need to bring in more support. If not, that's a red flag. The things that are going well for you this month, and there's a lot, folks, you have great ideas, you can get things done, and you partner really well with others. You may tend to take too much on, more than you need to, and that could cause exhaustion or sickness. So that's why I'm kind of giving you a little tough love and saying, there's a lot of other people in the room. Make sure that everyone's doing their fair share. And frankly, from the Four of Pentacles, it looks like you should be getting a lot more, either in support, time, or money. Any one of those or all of those together. Thankfully, we're not seeing anything in the sort of two outcomes or immediate future that are a red flag to me. The only thing here that I don't like is the Ten of Swords. I don't want you to work yourself to exhaustion or sickness. Also, with the Seven of Swords, I've seen it come through a few times, either Devil or Seven of Swords for the April readings. If someone tries to convince you to do something that is either blatantly wrong or feels like, nah, I don't want to do it, listen to that instinct. It isn't worth it. So just say no. All right, let's move on to those of you that own your own business. We have the Moon card in reverse. It's really interesting because it almost looked like it was upright, didn't it? And what we see in the reverse, we have the Panther versus the Cat. So sometimes we make things out to be something bigger than they need to be. So when it comes to a fear or an anxiety, which is what the Moon can represent, it looks like it may not be as troublesome as you might imagine. It'll be a smaller issue if you deal with it now. That's one thing that I see with this. That is so powerful. This is why I love reversals, especially in decks that take advantage of the fact that some of us read it. Now, if you don't deal with something sooner than later, yes, it can grow. So in your morale, if you have a company with even a small group of people, if there's one or two that are just unhappy, that can spread. So it's important to deal with the issues when they're small. It's important to call out any sort of behavior like this when it's happening. Seven of Swords, Moon, Five of Swords, they're all working together. So, it's basically showing themes of not being super accountable, maybe not communicating clearly or honestly. And so whether it's coming from the top down or whether it's happening in the sort of general morale of others, that's the area that really needs to be focused on. There could be an unhappy customer as well. And again, if you work now to resolve it, it could become a success story. Otherwise, it could become the Panther here, and you don't want that. General themes for those of you that have your own company. Too much is on your plate. Ten of Swords, Ten of Wands. It doesn't have to go here, but if you keep trying to do so much, it will. If you don't have the finances right now to hire someone else, you might need to pare down what you're working on. But it looks like this is usually a card of being stingy sometimes when it comes to investment, not necessarily lacking. So it's also in the environment. So by the way, the biggest challenge I think for businesses this month is figuring out how to price things right. Because if you keep something at a lower price, it's going to be at a loss. So how can you increase the cost of something but also still deliver a product and service that feels like it's worth it? So some of that can be marketing. Some of it can just be calling out the attention to detail or being transparent in where the costs come from. And that's one of the challenges, is it feels like the price that you have can't be the price that you need to have for the next quarter or the next part of the year. Definitely the next month. Something needs to change. To that end, really focusing on forecasting and getting some things kind of mapped out in this period of time will help. But you have only so much time and energy to give. Make sure that you're putting it here. You should be focusing on vision and management. If you get too far into the weeds of something, in other words, if you do all of the work yourself, exhaustion, you can do it some of the time. But what we see here also is there's a lot of other people in this sort of general spread here with the Ten of Cups. So make sure that equal delegation, the tasks need to maybe be more evenly spread. Okay? Let's move on. If you're looking for a job, we have the Star, but the Star is reversed. So there's a lot of competition. One of the ways that you can separate yourself is by really calling out your unique and singular and unusual talents. And also making sure that with whatever time that you're given, you're ready. Like, do the prep work so you can just show and step into the spotlight. If it takes a little bit of time for you to warm up before an interview or before a conversation, make sure that you've done the practice and the work, and also just think, I've got nothing to lose. Let's just put it out there, right? The other thing with the star in reverse is it's saying go back to the thing that really feels like it's you. This is a super creative and a super artistic card. When she's in that artistic flow, everything works. I mentioned Three of Pentacles is really good for writers and artists. So if that's you, if you're a creative, this is your time to maybe lean more into that. Even if mom, dad, sister, brother, teacher, society is like, you got to do a practical path, do the artistic path. For everyone else, it's basically about allowing your creative thinking to come through, because in finance, there's creativity. You have to think of a creative solution, especially if you're faced with a problem where you don't have enough resources, right? In medicine or in business, you definitely use creativity. You have to figure out how to make something work when nobody else can. And that's also what can kind of set you apart. So we're looking at your ability to be a visionary, working on being outspoken, and aligning to a career path that works for you. You're asking me, Nicholas, where and when can it happen? There are a few options that pop up, but one thing that I see right off the bat is it feels like for option number one, I see morale issues. I see burnout. So do some research online and talk to some people that have worked at companies and make sure that you know, like, do I want to do the overtime? Do I want to deal with some of this drama there? Even though it may have an okay reputation when you go beneath the surface, not so much. I see one great opportunity that requires travel. It feels like you might have already passed on that one, or requires moving. Really think about it, because I do like what I see on that. The one that's front and center, not great. The one that you might have passed on, or the one that you might have put to the side, give it a second look. And there's another one here that may require a little bit more training. Other than that, you could create your own. So we're kind of going back a step and doing entrepreneurial work. Two cards involving travel. So relocation, a wider geographical span, or remote working. All of those things are coming into play. And if you look at remote jobs, you might have better success overall. And again, with the whole assignment and teaching energy, some of you may decide to go into a profession where you're teaching or mentoring as well. The main challenge is compensation. Compensation and location. If you're flexible on the location, you might be able to get better compensation. For students, we have the Five of Swords. I mentioned 5 and 7 of Swords are usually like brother and sister cards. So the Five of Swords comes through to remind you that it may not be worth the argument. This could be an argument with a peer, with a professor, with your parents. You're going to pick and choose your battles. This is also the inner saboteur that comes out and sometimes convinces you that you can't do it. And we can see what happens here. There's just that feeling of, frustration or despair or annoyance, and it can be a combination of all of those. So don't take the bait here, and really focus on elevating conversations when necessary. And if you need to, the next card in the spread is the Six of Swords, so you can always walk away and say, I'm going to focus on something else. All the stuff that I just talked about is really easy to see in the Light Seers version of this. You can just see someone squawking in your ear, and it's like, when is this going to stop? So back to the whole idea of just having good boundaries and pushing back a little bit. I think that's going to be really important too. You have to pick and choose the battles. Sometimes when it is a professor, it's not worth it. But if it is a peer or someone around you, you could just say, not now. So pick and choose those battles, and elevate the conversation when appropriate, and when necessary, move on if you can as well. Other things for students, let's take a look at all of this. Avoid burnout. You may already be there. Take care of yourself. If you're sick, it's better to rest up and maybe have someone take some notes or whatever. Self-care, number one. This is interesting. I mean, if it's an assignment or a group, there may just be someone that's not carrying their weight. In this situation, that might be a point where you have to ask for a new partner, or just speak to them and say, listen, you have to do this. This is what we agreed to, or because otherwise you're going to get burned out or you're going to get burned. So Ask for a new partner or something if they won't do their share. It's not worth it otherwise. What I do like here is your ability to work hard. Clearly, you're hardworking and independent. You have great ideas. I think the challenge here is this: burnout and accountability. So make sure that you're being accountable and people around you are. And then it also feels like there's some stuff that you're holding back on, whether it's something that you're interested in doing, or maybe there's not enough resources. You go to the library, you can't find what you need. You talk to a teacher, they're lacking the experience. So what we see here is like an internship or an external experience that can help you. You may also be thinking in the long run about transferring. I don't see it yet, but it's some sort of like an exploration if you can't get the resources or support that you need. Self-care is the number one thing that I see for students. I love this for retirees. We have the Page of Wands coming through here, and I love that the path is there too. It's basically almost like a Fool card. Pages are all about learning and opening up to new things. Wands is about a new experience, a new inspiration, a new idea. Some of you may have something that you're starting brand new, like your own business, or there's some sort of an opportunity where people want you to come in and teach or assist. This can also simply be you saying, I want to do stuff that makes me happy. So exploration, passion, discovery, all of that is part of this. But the Page of Wands also listens, consumes. So you might be on a path for illumination, like saying, hey, I really want to understand more about this topic or this part of myself, personal development. Here's some other things that I see for retirees. The most vital thing that you can focus on is your health. That is the foundation upon which everything else is built. So if there's anything that needs to be managed, now is the time to take care of that. There's a little bit of an audit that's happening when it comes to the people that you spend time with. There's no lack of energy where, like the Ten of Cups, even Three of Pentacles, it looks like there's a lot of energy coming towards you saying, hey, I'd like some of your time. But it's really important for you to feel like you're getting something out of it. You get to be more discerning. You get to do what you want to do in this moment in time. And for some of you, you're pushing back a little bit on the familial stuff, and it's more about either finding a new group of people that have a shared interest, maybe going to school, maybe learning something new, maybe working on something new, personal development, personal growth, and healing the body for sure. All right, let's move on. There are two cards that came through in love and relationships. Here's what we've got. The first one says, speak your truth. And the second one says, spiritual support. Let's break it down. Obviously, with speaking your truth, it says, thank you, Gabriel, for helping me speak with integrity. The integrity piece is everything because of this. If there's something that you just need to say and need to be honest, this is the time to get it out. If there's someone who's doing something that makes you feel like they're not taking you serious, or they're doing something that is lacking integrity, it's time to speak up. You don't have to do any of this alone. Dear angels, I allow you to support me as I grow to become more spiritually aware. But the spiritual support is also friends, family, and other people in your life that can kind of be there for you. You don't have to do this alone. All right, let's break this down into three major categories. We'll look at those of you currently in a relationship, those of you that are seeking love, and then single and happy. All right, starting with those that are presently in a relationship. Time, energy, and money come through loud and clear with the Seven of Pentacles. Don't overextend. That's really what we get here. There's a tendency sometimes to people please, which can often lead to this exhaustion card. So know what you can do, know when you can't do it, be honest. If you need some support, ask. One thing that this card does represent is the eventual recovery, but let's say it's financial recovery, emotional recovery, or even just your body. You can't push yourself too far, too fast. So when it comes to the relationship, know that for you, know that for your partner, and respect the time and energy it takes for everything that you see in this card, okay? Back to the lesson of the deep past, slow and steady. And sometimes maybe just a little bit of time on your own. Both the Seven and the Nine of Pentacles like to work independently. What's going right? What's not so right in a current relationship? Well, we've already established there's karma in the relationship. So the assignment or the lesson here, again, we just talked about it. Accountability, being able to give one another space, not taking the bait for the argument. Let me see if I have it here in this spread. Yeah, I do. So in the Light Seer's deck, the Ten of Swords offers an alternative. You can always walk away. You don't have to argue. So if the partner is in a bad place, maybe there's a lot of stress at work, there's a lot going on, maybe they've lost someone in their life, you're just there to support them, right? At the end of the day, you don't have to fix all of that. So don't argue, don't push too much energy or too many opinions on them. It feels like it could erupt into a conversation. Be honest, be truthful. It's eventually going to see the light of day. Better to be the one. You should be the one that initiates it. Let's see what else is going on here. It feels like they may not be ready or willing to be either as honest, active, or it's sort of like vulnerable. That's the word I was seeking. The vulnerability, it's hard to trust. One or both of you may have been hurt before, but together you've got to bridge that sort of trust so that the communication and everything else can flow, because it does feel like there's something from the past, whether it's the two of you or before that, that is bringing up trust issues again. What I like is that there is a lot of work that you've done to create this family unit. And you are willing to do the work, it looks like usually. There's something stressing or tensing the two of you out right now. And so that is the challenge. Once you get past that, good things await. There could be some travel or, again, a new job opportunity or educational opportunity on the horizon. Make sure that you are celebrating those little successes. Here's the one thing to avoid, though. You don't want to fall into the path of teacher, mother, or father with your partner. They have to be ready to do what they want to do. You don't want to step into an authority role. It's not fun for either of you. For those of you that are looking for love, we have the Three of Cups. This is really a great energy to come forth for that. It's showing that you have a lot of options on your plate. I will say this with the Three of Cups, it's more about, kind of enjoying the whole courtship. So for those of you that may be wanting to get into something very serious very quickly, don't rush it. That's what I see with this. Let's take a look at who might be coming through. King of Wands could be an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. In fact, we actually have Leo energy coming through. They're a little bit bossy, though, because this card is reversed, or a little bit stubborn. So be mindful of that if you meet a Leo this month. The other thing that I see here is, for some of you, it feels like you might be on a rebound. The Ten of Swords and the Seven of Swords could show the trust issues and this desire to hold back a little bit. So heal whatever issues might be from the past so that you can fully kind of like embrace this and just have fun with it. It doesn't have to get too serious too quickly. You can meet people through work and school and extracurricular activities with the Three of Pentacles. Sports also counts there. And what I see is someone that comes from a different background. Three of Wands is a person from a different shore, basically. So not in your immediate circle of friends. There could be also a distance component, which could make it challenging because these are showing people on different sides of the globe or different geographical locations. So, that might be the only thing to manage. And there could be someone that also has an existing family, like a child, an ex. That could be challenging as well if that's not what you're looking for. It doesn't have to be challenging, but it could be challenging your expectations. Let me reframe the narrative on that one. Okay? So can you find someone? Yes, but take it slow. For those of you that are single and happy, good for you. We have the Nine of Wands, representing that you're very close to completing a task or a goal. And what we want to avoid on this one is also burnout. It's interesting that all the wands fell to the ground and they're kind of smoking. She has the bandage there. So sometimes when you're in Nine of Wands energy, there's just this feeling of, are we there yet? Very close. You're very close. In fact, by the time you look at this reading, we have the Ten of Wands in the recent past. It feels like it's happening. Like within the next week or two, something could be coming to fruition. Here's what you can be focusing on in this period of time. Training, education, again, putting more energy into extracurricular. Not saying yes to things that don't provide the sustenance and the support that you need. Focus instead on, again, enrichment. That's really things that enrich you, things that engage you. It's a great time for travel. And I think everybody this month benefits from focusing on mental and physical health. Finally, speaking of health, In the Destiny card, we have one that basically is all about healing. We have the bear on this, and of course, that is about sleep, because bears hibernate in the winter. So it may just be time to take a break. We're not getting a lot of cards showing rest here. We don't have the Four of Swords. We don't have the Eight of Cups. We don't even have the Fool. So it's important for you to take a step back and take care of you, okay? Now let's focus on one final question, one final card for today. It can be anything that you would like. Go ahead and set that question out to the universe. I'm going to shuffle the cards, and we'll see what Spirit has to say. It's a yes. We have the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is in the reverse position. So success may not happen as quickly as you want, in the way, shape, or form that you want, but it's coming. This is also an encouragement from Spirit to basically create your own criteria for what success means. Riches in your life. It's not just money in the bank account. It's the time that you get to spend with your children, with your friends, with your family, with your pets. It's the amount of energy that you can put into a project that brings you a sense of passion and fulfillment. It's not just money. So, or outward sort of recognition. When you let go of all of that, sometimes these things naturally find you, but focus on the things that make you happy. And, you know, everyone else can just sort of like deal with their own stuff. Sometimes people are so fixated on fixing your life that they don't fix their own. So you do you, you encourage them to focus on themselves, and everyone's going to be happier as a result. Overall, I like what I see, especially the King of Wands in your crowning position. Don't underestimate your ideas, your vision, your talent, or your worth. You've got this. All right, Pisces, thank you again for your patience. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, do me a favor. If you're brand new, hit the subscribe button. Or if you've watched a long time and never subscribed, please do it. It's free. You'll get notifications when I go live. It's a win-win for both of us. You can also hit the thumbs up and the bell so that you never miss out on any future readings. To that end, follow me on social media, and you can also see reminders there just in case the Google ones don't come through here on YouTube. You can show some additional love and support through a super sticker, a super chat, or a membership. I'll be doing a members video at least once or twice a month. At the time of posting this one, I'll be doing one on the 18th. So keep an eye out on the calendar. I usually announce it at least a day before, oftentimes opening it up to questions. So I do some special perks for the members. If you ever need more information about me or anything that I do here on the channel, you can go to my official website, nicholasashbaugh.com. And just a quick reminder that I don't offer private readings or use direct messages. So be mindful of that and stay safe. And that, my friends, is everything for this month. Thank you for being the best part of what I do here on YouTube. I know you have so many choices. The fact that you decided to spend some time with me makes my day. Until I see you again, be well and take care.